Alrighty. So, welcome to a stream. Just another stream again. It's been a while since I've been doing the whole Rubberduck live streaming thing, so just have to adjust some little things here, and we have 2 people watching right now. So, time to stream. Yeah, Owen, hello. Glad that someone's watching here. So, I'm talking about the online library. I have the feeling that some people maybe missed it, or in some other way just didn't care. Or also I wasn't too keen on being too big with it, because I was still thinking about if it's really possible or necessary in a way, and I adapted the online library for myself and my workflow. So let's take a look into it. Maybe first let's clear up what is the online library. The online library is a cloud-based palette. Let's say it this way. So, and it's running inside TouchDesigner, so no tedious running in GitHub, in the community section of the derivative website, in any of this, because the idea is to have it all in one place. Maybe something like pip or npm in this direction. So, but for TouchDesigner toxes. And what I found myself to upload the most are a lot of little components. So not uploading the whole level of thousands of different big applications, but more like the small modules you would install because they're making your life a lot easier. So maybe let's take a look where to get it. It's quite simple. I have it open, but we can go into it again. So we go onto the derivative CA website, and then we have to navigate into the community section under TouchDesigner. And here in the filter, we are going to put in online library, and we're going to search for it, and as you can see already, here it is. So let's click on it, and you will see some simple text, screenshots, how to use it, contribution. Yeah, anyway, if by the way, not anyway, if someone's open to contribute to the online library, you're more than welcome. I will send you an invite link, or maybe a link with an email. I'm not sure how exactly the situation currently is panning out with the email service and the inviting. So maybe I will have to send you a hard password and you have to change it as fast as possible. But yeah, inside of this you have the alphamoonbase online library talks. So we're just going to download it. We're going to save it. And after, so it's surprisingly small. I mean, it has some more into it, and I already prepared a project here. It's completely empty, and we're just going to drop in the let's go to the downloads here. You can probably, yes, I want the downloads, and there we have the alphamoonbase online library talks here. So we're just going to drop it in, and it will take a little moment. As you can see, we had a drop because we are initializing quite a lot. We're using, I'm using a lot of WebSockets, threaded Python, stuff like this. But that's none of your concern. So you have the library open. You can see it here, and you see version control, just some information about the build number, current version, where it came from. We're going to get into how I made this one. And yeah, there we have 3 custom parameters. We have open news on start. As you can see here, we have some news, a folder, a library folder. This is the location where all of the components are going to be downloaded to. So that's something to keep in mind. They are project specific. So if you're not setting this library folder to something where everyone has access to all the components you're downloading, and the versions of this component you are downloading are specific to a project and its folder, except you have like several projects in one folder, what I really don't advise, but in theory that's definitely possible. And we have the open parameter here. Pulse parameter can just press it and you can already see it's open, but to be honest, there are other ways. So we can just tuck this away here in our project, make it really small, put it somewhere because we don't care so much about it. And we are going to use 2 keyboard shortcuts. First one is Control, Alt, and O for online library. Would have guessed. So this one also opens this this window here. And the one I found the most useful, and to be honest, I'm not sure if this even is a good idea in using it in TouchDesigner, because I get some kind of error where it's like, I don't know the shortcut, but I know the shortcut. So we are going to just press F8, and this one also will bring up the online library. Just a little look at the different versions. New feature release, new autosaver release, good luck at the championship. Autosaver, interesting because it now implements also the online library. But basically, if something should change regarding the online library, I will post it here. But otherwise, you can just disable the open use on start parameter completely, and we're closing it. So how does it work? You can already see we have, or I have, there are some other people also contributing. Quite a lot of components, and you can see that they have a name. So autosaver, backdropper, you can see when they were last edited. You can see who made it. So in this case, most of these components are by me, but again, it's open for everyone to contribute if they want to. And a category, like users or developers can create their own categories if they want to, but there's like a set of pre-made categories. So let's take a little look at the categories first, what style of components we have. So we have helper components, and helper components aren't specifically components you use in the end product. Let's say it this way. They are components to make your life as a developer easier. So stuff like the online library itself, for example. So in the end, you maybe want to remove the whole online library from the project when it's done, when it's ready for deployment, and because you don't really care about it in the end. The next one are the image filters. I think they are pretty self-explanatory. They are image filters, like you know them on Instagram, stuff like this. So they are like a chroma key and a feedback effect. The next one, and this is the one I'm building the most, are these components, the system builder components. And the system builder components are the little pieces and pieces that make an application, an installation, make them run. So, and yeah, they're like the heart of a lot of my components. So for example, something you will see a lot, I use it all the time, is the callback manager. This way I can create my own callbacks from a component. The MIDI mapper in a way, but something like the downloader, which I can use to download files super conveniently. Another category is TouchDesigner. So I don't know how familiar you are with it. So TouchDesigner is my family of preset systems. So fairly easy. You can yeah, we will take a short look into it, but basically you can already see it in my other videos on this channel. Then we have some UI components. Not too many, but I mean, not short. UI designer is like a whole set in itself, which is super nice. Then one user contribution by Tact. It's the status overlay, super nice component to like keep the user from interfering with what you're doing, and like the load icon is just a generator for a loading icon. And then we have some visual generators here, so yeah, we will take a look into them. They're not super interesting. If someone is uploading a new component and you can't see it here, you can press this little button here, and this will just reload the whole page. Next one is you can filter the components. So you can filter by name, by last edited, by creator, and by category. So for example, if we say we want to have a preset, you can just type it in, and then you will just get all the components with a preset in the name. And same you can use for search for creators. So if we want to have all the tag components, you can search for the tag components. But maybe let's go from top to bottom here, and yeah, let's start here. So how does it work? You press a one of the elements here, and you will see it will put in the bottom left corner with like general information about where it is, what it is, how it's used, how it's done, stuff like this. And on the right side, you can see all the versions of this component that got released, like which version and when it was last edited. So I'm going to now download an older version actually first. And so one thing you can do is you can just press the download button, and you will see it's all small components, so it didn't take too long. But yeah. And what's happening here is, let me just open up the folder here. And what you can see now is in our project folder, it created a download folder. And when we go inside, you see, okay, here we have the autosaver tox. So in theory, we could now just like put in this tox, and there we have the version file. It just like saves the version of this file inside of this folder, so I can read it out. Not big of a deal. Next nice thing is I can press the place button here. So when I do this, you will see the online library closes down, but instead now we have the file here, and I can just yeah, place it this way, and I can do it as often as I want, like this. So but let's say we have a newer version, which is rather weird. We can just download it, and if we take a look in here, Oh, okay, that's definitely my fault here. So there is an issue with the different naming conventions. So whatever, we can download the newest version. We can press the place button. If we don't have an internet connection and we actually want to see what parameter or what toxes are in our local library, we can also just press like this open library button, and this will give you just a smaller library, and there you can basically do the same. You can press the place button, and so you have a better overview of your components, and you can open this local library using Control-Alt-L. And again, we can say autosaver in theory, like _1, and then we just have the specific versions. Okay, but that's rather tedious, like going from first downloading it and then placing it, and basically what you can do is you can just press place and we'll download it, and after it's finished downloading it will start dropping it. So that are the basics. So now let's go from top to bottom. First one, the autosaver. It's like a rather convenient component I developed for using in a team environment. So what we can do is when we create a custom component, so we have this custom component here, and what we can now do is we can define this custom component as our target here. Still nothing special, and we can write in some information. So for example, who's the author? I'm going to just like regularly use the username of your account on your computer, but you can put in whatever you want. The name of the component, in this case it is the custom component, and the main version. So this is our main version. And yeah, then we can put in a suffix. In this case, it's our release, so we're just leaving it empty. And we can put in a website. So in this case, this website is pointing at my profile on the derivative website. And again, as I said, we can define one of the preset component, but instead I'm just going to put in like custom stuff. And yeah, then we can define, or maybe let's go here first. So what is release going to do? Release is going to write in some patching information when you create a new release. And then the release will be, for one, put into the release folder. And so it will like overwrite the latest version. And the version folder will create a new folder just for this specific version of your component you're using. The next tab here is the OLIB folder. So that's really nice. It's a good workflow. It's basically, if you are a developer, a contributor to the OLIB, you can put in your username, your password, and create new components on the fly. Rather simple. And maybe let's create something new here for let's create a ramp. Let's put in an LFO just so I can show you something. And let's set the face here, and let's make this one tune out. Okay, so what happens, what we have to do first is we have to press the init target component. And what this is going to do is it's first going to say, hey, the main version is different because the main version doesn't exist right now. So it's totally okay. And then it's going to ask, hey, do you want the component to reload on start. So this is a super powerful tool, because this way, when you're working with several people and you just have to exchange the tox files, and you just have to overwrite basically the tox file in your custom component, and relatively simply can revert back to an older version. But for development purposes, I don't like it, because sometimes you're working on something, you don't want to release it, but you don't want to save it, and this would like reset you to your last release candidate when you turn this on. So we deactivate it, and as you can see, the whole component turned yellow. And what this basically means is it's dirty. So it's not the same as the component saved on the disk. And the next thing you will see is like it created a big amount of different parameters in the version control. So you have the author, you know, from who it is, the name, version, build number, where it originated from. So in this case, the OLIB demo tool, and when it was last released, and a description, a suffix, the website, and a little button, go to website, so we can just press it and it will send you to this specific website. So in this case, the online library, so you always know where I am, or how to contact the maintainer of the specific component. And when we go inside, so let's go inside here. Here on the top right corner, you can see some information. So one thing is like this all release notes. That's actually not too important, but it's just like when you start working on this component from another computer, you don't have like all of the release notes stored. So yeah, that's rather interesting that it's like 2017 3200. That's like super interesting. But way more important is we have this little help that here, and we have this icon that here, which in this case didn't work because it's a base, and the OP viewer is just not doing it. So maybe we can unlock it and lock it again. Sometimes it works, sometimes not. Who would have guessed? But what we can now do is when we go into our palette here, into my components, and I think I will have to create a new folder, test folder. So dropping it in here, and now it once worked. The icon and info should appear here, but for whatever reason it doesn't. Maybe it just appears again when we reload everything. If we take a look here, we now see that we have a custom component folder. So, and when we look in this folder, we see, okay, here we have our custom component tox. We have some info about all versions. So some notes like the initial release, that's like the first time you init everything, and what that's like a super weird TD build, but we're going to roll with it. And also you have like this 1-1 - custom component folder where you have the version 1.1, because you can still see it's yellow. So what we're going to do is now when we save our project, you see the build number goes 1 up. And when we now press release, we have this little window here, and we can say increased build number. Now we say release, and you can see it is no longer yellow. So this means we have released it. We have a version 1.3. Works quite nicely. Okay, let's take a look at the next component. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure you're all gonna love this, like all of you 3 people, and I think I am one of these persons, but whatever. So we're going to place it, and at first it doesn't look too weird, but let's say there's a little treat to it. Basically what we have to do is, when we take a look here, we have to create a det, and we have to call the create backdrop from OP backdropper. Nothing more, but let's make this. Let's create a text here. Let's say OP backdropper create backdrop. Now if we right click and run the script, yeah, let's just copy this one here. Create backdrop with a D. So we run script, and as you can see, we got 3 new components, and the background changed a little bit, and suddenly like this operator has a little drop shadow. So what we have here is the backdrop creator, and what we can do is we can create zones for our network editor, and we can give it different sizes. So we can just like resize this component here, and by using C in the bottom left, you can see I can change the color to something nice, and I'm just going to say add backdrop. And for whatever reason, it doesn't give us the right color. It's like new version of Touch. Something changes every day. But yeah, basically you should be able to do it. I think as no one's watching anyway, I can just like take a look into it. Let's see. To be honest, I don't really care about this right now, because I know it's working on the latest, not on the latest stable release, obviously. But there seems to be some issues, but anyway, you can like create nice backdrops here. And another one, and another one. And if you want to disable it, you can just disable the display toggle of the backdrop here. If you need to change the color, which should be displayed, you can do it in this table here, because in this table we are having all the information about the different components. Okay, so let's get rid of this. So now we have the callback manager, and this one is, I think, not too useful for a lot of people, but it's something I use quite heavily. So maybe let's create a component here. Let's create a base component here, and let's put this one inside, and let's create a timer chop. Okay, we have a timer chop, and what we do now in the timer is we say restart, and then we are going to create a new callback, which will just be called onDone, and we'll do nothing. Okay, and now we have to implement or init our base 1. with this callbacks. So we are going to say init, and it in first place didn't even look something happen, but if you look here, we now have a create callbacks pulse parameter. So let's take a look in here, and what we can now do is in the undone, we can now just call parent dot callbacks. I can call undone. It's not the best example, but you will see later where I use it. So we can now in these callbacks create callbacks, and we can now do something when the timer inside hits the done. So this means we never, under any circumstances, when everything is working, have to go inside of our base 1 to change logic or to build a new interaction. So for example, we don't have to go inside, create a channel chop or something like this to grab when it's done, but instead we already have our nice little callback here, so we don't have to think about it too much. And I think I will show you some other components later on where you can see where this is going. The next component, it's just like a small little thing, is a chroma key. It's like not the best one, most amazing one, but it like, let's put in a movie file, and it's easy set saying let's get rid of let's take the butterfly here. Okay, so we have a butterfly, and let's say we want to get rid of key out all of this little white grayish here. We have two outputs. So the first output is a mask. It's like the keyed image, and the other one is the key output. So one way we can do it is we can adjust the color by hand, typing it, dialing it in, typing it in. But what instead we can do is we can also adjust the viewer. And now, as you can see, the moment I move in, it changes to the original image. And basically I can just like click here, and so let's click on this pinkish, and now you can see it created a map for us where all of this is keyed out, and then we can adjust the range, and we can make it a little bit softer, can increase the contrast of the key image, can change brightness, just some adjustments, and can even do stepping to get like hard corners. But basically that's all to it, to this chroma key, is that it's like relatively easy to run in any environment, because often you're in the situation that you need a chroma key and the one in the palette is just too slow. Okay, circular audio visualizer. I actually really like this one because I was watching a video on YouTube where someone was making music, and then they were like putting in this audio visualizer, and it was like super easy to build, and basically that's what it's doing. It's like taking an audio file in, and it's taking, that's what the banana is. So if you have your own logo you want to put in there, so it can even be animated, no problem. So let's put in the count, and doop 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 doop. let's just remove. And let's put this in here. And as you can see, we get like this nice, interesting pattern. We have some adjustments we can make. We can make more like adjust the amounts of elements. We can increase the chaser, can change the resolution, and when we press feedback, edit feedback, we can also edit the feedback. So for example, to have it more like this, decreasing the opacity a little bit. And then we have 3 outputs again. So the first output is just like what you can see there. The second output is without the feedback, because sometimes you don't actually want to have this feedback. And the third one is just the feedback, which, to be honest, I find really, really, really lovely looking. Okay, that's that. The clip recorder, it's just taking care of recording a movie into a folder. And if I'm not mistaken, let me check that. Oh, yeah, no, it's not doing that. It's like a small component, because you can define a length, like 10 seconds. You can give it like an ID, and then you can just like press record, and it will start recording the movie, and you can define a shortcut. So for example, an E, and now if I press Control E, again in theory, it should work. I have to definitely take a look into this. As you can see, it doesn't have the whole version control. It was one of the first components. But yeah, countdown is it's a super convenient. I built this for the Node forum, and what it does is it's basically just a timer, but it gives us some nice, it makes life so much easier. Okay, so at first the outputs. So we get the output in hours, minutes, seconds, or in total seconds, and we also already get it formatted in like double digits string format, so we can just easily put it into a text that here and put on a nice monospace font, if I have one. I think it was Candera. So, and as you can see, it doesn't really have any buttons or anything, which isn't the nicest thing. So I think I will implement buttons, but I'm trying to get into a habit of getting away the interactivity from the parameters, because that's not what they are made for, and at least in my way. But instead you have some nice functions. So we're going to use this one, and we're going to say op countdown 1, and we're going to say start timer, and we give it a time of like 10 seconds. Oh yeah, it's, of course I'm using underscores. No, I'm not using, I'm missing a T here. And as you can see, we get like, yeah, it's not a monospace font at all, but whatever. Okay, so this can definitely be done by a regular timer, but you have like this tuck on second. Then we have a callbacks. So for example, the on done callbacks. that's basically what I showed you before, so we can do something when the timer is finished. But the strong part here is that we also have the start timer delta and we have the start timer clock. So let's take the start timer delta. Basically what we can define, or what we have to define, is we have to define hours, minutes and seconds. So we can define, okay, in 10 minutes and 5 seconds. And now if we execute the script, you see, okay, we're starting by 10 minutes, 5 seconds. And all of these shenanigans. So we don't have to calculate when we know, okay, we need 15 minutes. We don't have to first calculate 15 by 60 and then for the hours the same. But instead we can simply do it this way using the start timer delta. And the best one actually is the clock. What we can do with the clock is we can, or have to define the hour and the minute. So let's take a look. It's like 1942. So I want the clock or the countdown to finish at 20 o'clock. So let's, okay, and we have 70 minutes, 56 seconds left until 20 o'clock. Just like, should fit like, let's imagine it's New Year's Eve. We need something for midnight. Yes, okay, let's do it. Let's just say start timer, it's 0 o'clock, and here we have it in 4 hours, 16 minutes, 50 seconds. We have a timer, and when it's done, we just say on done. Just play a video, start a video. Again, as I said, it's like often it's the smaller convenient components that give me some more functionality, so I don't have to do it all the time again. So let's take a look at the cubic plane visual generator. And that's like, I don't know, not the most awesome thing, but it's like if you need a simple background for a gig, you can just put this in and it will run for an eternity. So we can even do some changes, can make it super fast. Some different colors here, can change the wireframe color to white. Yeah, basically stuff like this. It's not the most awesome one, but yeah. The next one, displaced feedback. And actually for this one to work, because it's an image filter, we let's take the cubic plane again here, and maybe let's set the all the colors to black except the wireframe. Okay, so and now we are putting in, we're taking this displaced feedback here, and we're putting this in. And one thing, you have to reset this one. Yeah, and then you get like this nice effect where you can change the make it this way, increase the black level again a little bit to not let it take overhand. We can change the way it's added, so of course that's like, so we have brightest, we can change the amplitude of our feedback here, can make it less. Yeah, it's like an updated feedback effect, giving us some more nicer effects. Okay, let's, oh yeah, the downloader definitely is a nice one. You can, so here we have interact let's maybe call this file download. And yeah, what we can do with this one is let's maybe take the image of on the derivative website, the header image. So what we do now is we put in this simple URL here, and then we are saying query download. And this doesn't look too interesting, but again, we're going to take a look into the folder here. Let's take a look into the folder. And let's, no, it's not the title cards. Let's take a look. So in here you can see we have the file download. And when we now take a look at this image, it's damaged for whatever reason. So let's try this again. I have the feeling a lot of these components aren't really working. It's so weird. Yeah, not really sure what's happening here. That's super weird. I have the feeling this might be a change in here. It's just check actually if I have another TouchDesigner version. It's driving me crazy from time to time. So let's check. Let's check. We have an older TouchDesigner. No, we don't. So for whatever reason, the downloader is not working. Great. How inconvenient. We're not sure what's causing this. Let's try it with something else. Let's find another image. I mean, of course you can't use it. Okay, let's try this again. Oh yeah. It's like not liking this one. Okay, and let's try this again. It's like not downloading anything. Yep, download is busted. Not gonna bother with trying to get it to work. Just gonna say what else you can do. So what you can do is you can also create callbacks. And with the callbacks, you can ask for like if the download starts, download finishes, if the query finishes, and if something should fail. So yeah, this way you can automate. So in theory, if it would work, we could, for example, say, okay, on download finish, we say op movie file in one par.file equals file path. Okay, let's try this again. Oh, that's the wrong one. Let's try this again. Okay, and yeah, as you can see, but in theory, it like set it to the specific path, OLIB demo. Yay, but of course it's not working. But I'm really wondering why. Is it too small? I have to check that again. It seems super fishy. Next one, drag and drop callbacks. Pretty sure you might have seen them, or you are often in the situation that when you want to create nice user interfaces or do something on drag and drop. So we actually want to put them into a container. Any good old container here. And then we are going to place them. And we are going to use the init. And then we have a big list of different components. So for example, we have top drop, we have chop drop, we have that drop. So for example, what we can now do is simple drag and drop background changer, for example. So what we're just going to say is we're going to say target, so where we are dropping into, dot parameter, just check how it's called. It's called top. Top equals dropped OP. And it's really as simple as that. So let's create a movie file in here. Let's copy this and let's put in another one if I would have access to them. Let's just use this one. This one's also not working. That's always super weird. Okay, and now if we drop this in, we have I mean, we can even just like create a trash bin. So let's say on OP drop, we're just going to say dropped OP dot destroy. Okay, so I want to get rid of this. Oh. That's a rather interesting one. It crashes. Great. Yeah, I'm using the non-commercial. I forgot my license dongle. So, but it's all non-commercial here. Anyway, you can use it free of charge. Let's continue. But you get the gist of the drag and drop callbacks. Extension parameter callbacks, we're not going into this because they are like too obscure. But the next one is the list frame progressor. And what we can do with the list frame progressor is, again, we're having callbacks, and what we can do is we can feed it the table. So for example, a folder that, it's just a dumb idea. And now if we press process input table, it will do on, when we enable auto step, it will one by one go through the table on every frame. So nothing's happening here because what then is going to be interesting is here in the callbacks. So here we get the on element. So what we, for example, can do is when we use a text top here, and we are saying op text1 dot par dot text equals element, and we're going to take the first element. So again, if we say process input table, you see how it like walks through. And the best thing is now we can say op text1 dot save. We're just going to say again, going to use an f string here, element dot png, and as you can see, we now have we have a file for every one of this or content. So maybe let's create just a new folder here. Let's call it title cards. That's what I mainly used it for. So what we can now also do is we can disable the auto stepping, which means we have to manually do this. So we can create a noise here and just give it like the apps time dot seconds treatment. Slower, and let's increase the period here, and we can combine this fairly nicely with a timer. And what we can do with the timer is we're going to just simply use a movie file out here, and we are going to say we want to have the running part here. Okay, so running as record. So like looks like an inconvenient output, and maybe let's set the timer to 2 seconds. And what are we going to do now here with our callbacks? We are going to say on element we are for one going to set the text to what we have here. Then we are going to say op movie file out 1 dot par dot file equals, and we're going to, let's just check, we named the title cards. We're going to put in title cards slash element name dot mov, and then we're going to say op timer 1 par dot start dot posts. And when this is done, when the timer is done, we are going to say we are going to fire this step by hand. So here we're going to say on done, we're going to say op step. Okay, so let's see if anything is happening. Nope, because the first step is not called when we call this process input table. So let's just start the timer here by hand, which is not running in 2 seconds. So let's try this again. Okay, and now you can see that it's like just processing through the table. When we take a look in title cards, we now have like a nice title card that we can show. I mean, it's not looping, but we can in theory just use the looper here. No biggie. Load icon. Fairly simple. It's a load icon. You can change it up a little bit. You can make some doubles and can make it go fast. Same with frequency. Can make it go. Can change the scaling. So yeah, just creating a nice little icon. What you can also do is you can feed in another SOP to get like another look, and also for the color you can feed in a lookup ramp. So for example, we can also make it red and green, stuff like this, and the output is of course this one, so we don't need it. It's not running, nothing too fancy. Lunachart I'm going to jump over because basically that's no. Okay, let's take a little look here. That's Lunachart, and that's a UI designer you can use to throw in components. So maybe we have some components here. Callback manager, chroma key. So for example, the chroma key. Let's take the chroma key, so we can drop in the chroma key here, and as you can see here, we can move it around. Can change the size. When we go to parameter, we can switch up the parameters. We can interact with it fairly nicely. We can change the parameter here. It's you have tabs, but I have other videos on Lunachart, so just play around with it a little bit. The MIDI mapper, it's like a nice little component, is here, and I don't have a MIDI device right here on my computer, so for this reason it's not working in a way. But what you can do is when you create a bass or anything, but mainly if you use custom parameters, you can just drop your parameters in, and they will, when you have the right device ID, device selected, you can set learn. Now in theory, if you have this component, it will set the value for the channel and the index automatically. But yeah, you have to set the MIDI device ID by hand, so you have to beforehand go into the MIDI device mapper, create your MIDI device, and it just takes things a little bit more easily. The OLIB, we are using it right now. The param filter by Tact. Not sure about this one. Initialize all parameter in action span. This will install parameters in the parent component to control the filtering settings. Yeah. Oh yeah, TD pip. That's definitely a nice one too. So let's place it. This one is a little bit bigger. And the moment you place it, it already does a lot of things. So mainly, I think we have to go. And why do I keep closing this? Node. No, not node. Okay, so what you can see now is we have a lib folder in our project. Again, this is also project related. And if we look inside, we see we already have pip. So for everyone who doesn't know what pip is, it's a package manager for Python. So we can get in components, modules, Python modules and components from the webs, kind of like the OLIB. And the easiest way how it works is we are just calling the install here. Then you will see, in this case, we put in QR code. And if we take a look now, you see it's like a lot of stuff going on, but the most important one is we have QR code. So now if we call a QR code in our anywhere in a Python script, invalid syntax. What's the right syntax right now? I have to import. It's import. Import. So now if we say import QR code, it's working fine. We can now work with this. It will take care of all the initializing from the beginning. So relatively simple to use. But sometimes when we are delivering a project, we cannot always catch the moment, the right moment to download the component, stuff like this. So instead, what we can do, and that's like the most important feature of TD-pip here, is let's just set a global OP shortcut here. Let's name it pip, and let's create pip test module. Yeah, pip install test. That's like the best one. Okay, so we want to be sure that a module is installed the moment we call it, and the way we can do it is let me just see, install package, uninstall package. But we want to use it another way. Just have to update the description here. TD-pip. But you can always, for a lot of the components, you can find them in. You can find them on the page. Okay, so instead of writing import pip install test, which will create an error here because it doesn't exist. So now we could install it, but imagine we are delivering the component. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to say pip install test equals op pip.import module, and we're giving it the pip install test as an argument. So what is this going to do? It's going to check if we can import pip install, and if yes, it will return the module. So this way then we have pip install test. If not, it will stall the whole process for a moment, and when we run the script, kind of saying to what? Oh yeah, I think it's, so we have to be a little bit careful here. So we have to say pip install test, and now instead if we run the script, you will see connecting, and yeah, seems like there's no module named pip install test, which is a bummer. But maybe let's try this with the QR code again. So to like try this again. So I suppose there's some issue with the naming here. So let's say QR code, and now we're putting in QR code. So yeah, but we are not downloading anything because we still have it installed. Whatever. I'm not sure why this isn't working so nicely. There's no module named pip install test, which is yeah, okay, so this definitely is going to be a problem in some situations with the pip install test, because to import it we have to use underscores, but the name still is with like the regular minus dash sign. So that's definitely a big no-no to address this issue. Okay, whatever. In theory, it works again for many of these components. Polygon plane. It's I have the feeling that yeah, we have to polygon plane again, like one of this visual generators, nothing fancy, but sometimes exactly what you need to get some background and noise going on. So same with the polygon tunnel here. It's like, so you can like change the divisions, field of view angle, speed, change some parameters like how many rotation, from one rotation to what rotation. Nothing too fancy. Again, visual generator, basic components offering basic functionality, because as you can see, it's often hard enough to even keep track of just these basic smaller components, because why the downloader is not working, I just don't understand it. For example, I have to test it, and it's hard enough with a lot of these components already, so getting bigger is an issue. So whole preset system, gonna jump it because we already have it. The Python library importer. So this one basically isn't too crazy. It just imports a file into your project and makes some adjustments on the SH utility, stuff like this. So this is no longer necessary or needed with tdpip, but if you have your own libraries you want to import, you now just like to have to drop them here in theory. But it failed to import because it already exists here. So if we remove this, move it here, well, we can basically do this again. Oh, it's not working. But yeah, it was a pre pip component. Screen grabber, again, rather simple. So you can move around, can select only one screen, and can change the output. It's like, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure what exactly is happening here. Not gonna bother, it's working normally. Status overlay. Yeah, it's a nice one. So it's made by Tect again. Basically what we can do now is we can add a message. So we can say, most importantly, it's like the display value is controlled by this. So if we have a container here, you see nothing is happening, but we can now say waiting for stuff to actually work, and then after 4 seconds it will clean this up. So maybe let's set this to like 2 seconds, and we can say add temporary message, and we can even add more messages, and they will piece by piece disappear. Can display, and it will like take care of if it should be this visible or not by itself. Like super nice, easy component for system building. Storage viewer. You can view the storage in a tree view, so just have to think about a component that actually does this. Yeah, but basically you can put in, so let's put in the parent here, and nothing stored there. If you're using storage a lot, so maybe let's take a look at the preset manager here. So this is our target. No, that's not what it's supposed to be. God damn it! It's storage viewer. Yeah, and as you can see here, we can just take a look at what's in the storage. Again, nothing too fancy, nothing too heavy, but it can help development. That's like one of these helper components heavily. Tiny tag. That's like not even 100. Yeah. So basically, we can. It's a wrapper for library by Tom Valroof, and what you can do is like we can say tag equals op tiny tag _1 dot get tag, and we put in the path to a file, and we can then use this info, for example, by tag. Let's see. So we can get the file size, we can get the channels, the bitrate, we can get the title, we can get the track, can get the composer, the artist, interpret, stuff like this. If you want to build your own MP3 player, that's the component to use. The tweener is the heart of the preset manager. I think I never really talked about the tweener. And with the tweener, we can script transitions and interpolation between values. So, for example, let's take the circle here. And now we can just write a text component here. And we can write OP tweener, and we can write in an absolute tween. And the absolute tween is taking a parameter, radius x, and it's taking a target value, so in this case 0.1, and it's taking a time. And now if we execute a script, you can see that we are morphing into this new value. So again, when we change this one now to 1 here, and we execute a script, we have the smooth transition. Twitch chat. So really nice component, and has a lot of functionality. In this case, we have to provide a token, channel, nickname, and then we can send a message to this channel. But more importantly, we can filter out messages. So by a preamble. So for example, if someone writes exclamation mark, set variable. We can then catch that, and most importantly, we can catch that in one of these callbacks here. And yeah, basically that's it for now. So as you can see, it's not easy to maintain it all the time. So I'm also calling people to use it and to write me messages if they find errors in components, because otherwise sometimes things change in TouchDesigner and it gets impossible to track it for all of these components. It's a free project I'm doing in my free time, and also I use it myself a lot. So yeah, and if you're interested in contributing, just give me a message, and I will send you information, because I'm open for other people's work. I'm kind of frustrated right now because I think also no one watched. Haha. If someone's still watching, write a message in the chat, and we will. You will get a shout out, whoever is watching, because I think it's only me watching right now. Yes, I'm watching my own stream. Bye bye.